Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, staying healthy, and most of all fighting that war against the grey. So today we're going to talk about meeting engagements. So what are meeting engagements? Well, they're a system designed for 1000 point games to balance and make 1000 point games much more competitive, or at least that is the idea behind why Games Workshop did meeting engagements. They wanted to change up the way we play tournaments, which is change it from the standard 2000 point pitched battle that we see a lot at tournaments and give us a different way to play. Meeting engagement was released in the General's Handbook last year. It was met with mixed reactions, I think to say the least. We'll just go through the book on the General's Handbook part and sort of explain what they are, how they work, and we'll talk about some of the problems and some of the good things about it, because there are both sides to this, I really feel. And we'll just run through what a meeting engagement is properly first, and we'll get into the discussion after this. So, meeting engagement, as I said, is meant for 1000 points. Their little blurb at the top here says, the following rules allow you to play meeting engagement. Games are designed to allow players to fight a battle on a small-sized battlefield in less than 90 minutes. These rules are ideal for games where the players have a limited amount of space or time, and for one-day tournaments. So they specifically say this is a really cool idea to do for one-day tournaments, and that's something they're trying to do. Also, a big selling point for them at the start of this with meeting engagements was being able to play on the kitchen table, because we all know a 6x4, even a 4x4 table is quite a substantial amount of space required to play Warhammer. I mean, that's why most of us go to gaming stores. Not everyone is as lucky to have a gaming table or a designated gaming room, and even if you have a gaming room, fitting a 6x4 table in a normal house is an effort. That's a big table. That's a dining room table in a room that's not your dining room, so it's generally smaller. So the saving space thing is another good thing, and if they can really get this correct, it would really be great to see and be able to have more people playing games. They then go on to say the meeting engagement rules are designed to allow players to play a match play game with a 1000 point army on a battlefield no larger than a typical dining table. Here we go. What's more, meeting engagements are quick, allowing you to play 2 games in almost the same amount of time as a pitched battle, and to complete a 5-round tournament in a single day. However, you will quickly discover that just because a meeting engagement can be played quickly does not mean it is anything less of a challenge than a regular pitched battle. So they're really trying to push this to it can be tournament competitive, so which is a cool thing, but it also, as I was stating, playing on a kitchen table and all that stuff to do with their space and time is really something interesting here. So the first of all big change, and it is the first thing to note is it's for 1000 point games, no other size, no less, no more. You probably could play with muck around with how you do it, but that's their aim, is 1000 point games, only 1000 points. And so you've got this special force organization chart for a meeting engagement. Those who've played Warcry might find some similarities here. This actually came out before Warcry, and maybe Warcry took some ideas from this, which is pretty cool. And it's the fact you take your army, but you have to build it in 3 separate blocks. So not sort of like Warcry, in that Warcry you have to split your forces when you're getting ready to put them down on the table. Meeting engagement actually requires you to put certain things in certain parts of your army. So your army is split into 3 parts called the spearhead, the main body, and the rear guard. Each one of these has requirements and restrictions upon it. So to start off with, we'll start with the main body, because this is the only one that has requirements, in which it must contain a leader unit and it must contain 1 battle line unit. So you must have them in your main body. So it makes sense. This is your main body of your army. You can also include at least another hero, so a maximum of 2 heroes, 1 behemoth, 0 artillery pieces, any amount of battle line, any amount of other units. For your spearhead, you can have 1 hero, but you do not have to have any. There is no requirements in a spearhead, although you obviously have to have at least 1 unit in a spearhead, but you can pick which one on the list. You can't have any behemoths or artillery in your spearhead. Makes sense, this is like your ranging force. You can have 0 to 1 battle line and 0 to 1 other units. And your rear guard is the last part, of which can have 0 to 1 leaders, 0 to 1 behemoths, 0 to 2 artillery pieces, 0 to 2 battle line, and 0 to 2 other units. So this can't be the biggest part of your force, effectively. This has... this can be a bigger part of your force than your spearhead, but it can't. It has restrictions and caps on everything. It's also the only thing where you can take artillery. So they've restricted artillery quite a lot, and behemoths are also quite restricted. There are some ways around this, but we'll get into talking about that, obviously. There's one other thing to talk about in meeting engagement when picking your army, and that's that units cannot be purchased above their minimum size. Standard. There are some, we'll say this, however, in your main body, battle line can be up to double size, and in your rear guard, any units can be double sized. In your spearhead, no units can be double sized. The other restriction on meeting engagements is you cannot include the same war scroll more than twice. So this puts restrictions on you spamming something of the same unit on a really good unit in the game. So the other things to go through are allies. Your army can include up to 1 allied unit. It cannot be larger than its minimum unit size. It is not included when working out the number of battle line units in your army, but does count towards the number of leader, behemoth, and artillery. Very much a stock standard sort of ally thing. Endless spells. By paying an endless spells points, all wizards in your army know that endless spell and can use and reuse one endless spell model of the appropriate type in the battle. However, you can only pay for 1 endless spell in a meeting engagement. And you can purchase a command point for 50 points as per normal. Meeting engagement has its own terrain setup rules, and we won't go into that too much because I think that's one of an issue, and it's very similar to the issue people have with terrain setting up rules for tournaments in regular sized games of Age of Sigmar. I don't think that needs to be expressed, or don't think we need to cover that here, because I think it's the same story for main game AOS that meeting engagement has. So you can go hear about all that sort of stuff. So the perfect size for a meeting engagement battle is pretty much the boards you get for Warcry are a perfect size for meeting engagement battles. When units come... Now, there was a big discussion around this, and when units come on the board, they must come in within 3 inch. Now, obviously, some units are bigger than 3 inch and can't fit within that. So there's the idea that you hang the model off the edge. You place it as 3 inch and then have the rest hang over. And of course that doesn't work when playing on a full-sized 4x4 or anything, but you're supposed to be playing on something smaller. So you should be able to hang the model over the edge of the board that you're playing on without anything happening, especially if you're playing on one of the Warcry boards. It is a solution that solves itself pretty easy. It sounds silly to begin with, I know, but it does solve itself relatively easy there. And then they've released a whole 6 battle plans, which are all really cool. Probably the most notable thing in the battle plan is that you have to win by a certain amount of victory points in order to get major victories. This is one of my favourite parts about meeting engagement, in that you can prevent major victories by scoring close enough to your opponent, which I think is a really, really cool mechanic that I'd like to see main AOS actually pick up, to be honest. I really like that as an idea, that major victories you have to win by generally 5 or more victory points. And if you don't win by that amount, then the game is a draw, minor victory. So the last thing sort of to describe on how meeting engagement works is how your army comes on the table. Different, much like Warcry. Once again, if you played Warcry, some of these things may be similar to you. Meeting engagements, all the units come on at different times in their particular 3 blocks. Your spearhead, your main body, and your rear guard all come on at different times, and it depends on the mission. But now that we've explained what a meeting engagement is, I want to talk about some of the issues and some of the positives. So we'll start with the positives. So let's start on a positive note. As I just stated, I think the victory points, needing to score a larger amount of victory points and a substantial amount larger of victory points than your opponent, is a really good mechanic. It does mean like you can push back for minor wins and all that, and especially in tournament play, like the difference between a minor win, a draw, or a minor loss, or a major loss is quite significant and can put you up where you are fighting for a much higher position. Don't like it gives you something to always play for. Like this, when a game's so far gone, it's like I can't possibly stop them winning in one way or another. It can get quite defeating. But the ability for this sort of mechanic to allow you to effectively rob your opponent of a major victory is fun, because you're going, I might not be able to get a victory, but I can stop you getting a major, and that is quite a fun mechanic to have working in the game. Another mechanic that I really like is splitting your army up into the 3 parts. I do really like it. I like Warcry a lot for doing this. I do like that meeting engagement allows you to play with it, and so it's part of your army composition and list building part of it, which is really nice. There are some issues with this. We'll go into that in a second. But the actual splitting into the 3, the restrictions on it narratively fits. Like, you can't have artillery in your main body, and the artillery comes later and all that. And the kind of monsters in your vanguard or spearhead. The other thing I really like about meeting engagements, sorry, lost my train of thought as we're talking about the vanguard and all that sort of stuff, is how, talking about the restrictions and all that, meeting engagements for me, I think there's some really, really cool mechanics in it that are really interesting and will help the game go, pick up speed. Oops, just flicking through my book. For me, I do like the ability to not double size units, to keep things nice and small and compact, and not allowing you to take the same war scroll and spam that war scroll is a really nice, strong point of the game as well. And of course, time, the fact these games can be done nice and quickly, is a really good thing about the game. Now, however, I talked a little bit just before about how the force organization in this is really cool. It does, however, lead to some issues. So, first one of all is that some units become more of a problem when these restrictions are placed across the game. So you take, and especially when your army is split up, so a Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, for example, is so much more powerful in meeting engagements because your opponent can never bring a full force to bear on him. He's just going to take units off one by one by one by one, and there's nothing your opponent can do to sort of get him cornered, because he can't bring the force to bear because he's in control. Because, all of a sudden Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, and especially when units that break battle line requirements, so behemoths that become battle lines, so things like Stonehorn Beast Riders and Royal Terrorgeists, and even Hydras and Charybdis to a point, the fact they can break those things can cause issues. There's certain characters that just fit into it and just aren't quite safe enough to play in it, and that Marathi just springs to mind. There are some issues around unit restrictions. I think for me, a way to sort of remedy this would be able to place some sort of point restriction on. Now, I understand this could hurt some armies, but I don't think it hurts anyone massively. And I think you could apply, a 200 to 250 point cap on all units. It doesn't knock out any army from the game. It does restrict some units from ever being able to be taken. But the issue when my friends used to talk about this is Beastclaw suffer from this. Well, they actually don't anymore, because obviously they're more tribes now. So do they really suffer because you're being forced to take some more tribe stuff? And the argument we potentially had is, well, do you increase the minimum point allotment to the lowest beast unit? So whichever is lower, the Beast Riders on Thundertusk or Stonehorn. I'm not that knowledgeable on it, but that was an idea put forth. Other issues we've noticed when playing is summoning is extremely powerful, because there are so few units and the units can't be big sized in general. Summoning becomes a really, really powerful mechanic. And so we're almost to the point of like, do we not allow summoning in meeting engagements because it can, like, it can such drastically change the game because there's so much less on the table already, that it hurts the game a lot more than summoning at 2,000 points. Summoning at 2,000 points, you've still got a full 2,000 point army, and like, even though you might be 2,000 versus 200, 2,400 points, you've got a lot more to do stuff with. In this, if a summoned unit comes off and takes off one of your pieces, you're really struggling. Like, all of a sudden it's a quarter of your army, not an eighth or a tenth. So that does have its issues. But overall, I think meeting engagements is a solid base of a rule system for me. I think it's a solid base of a rule system. I think it definitely needs some improvements here and there. And I really want people to try it more because I really want it to be good. I want something different to be able to play. I enjoy playing different styles of games, of like the same game especially. I mean, you've seen the Hero Hammer stuff I've been trying to do on the channel. I've been playtesting our narrative campaign for that. We've got some plans to run some other styles of games to show some of the non-standard match play games on the channel. But yeah, I'd like to know your thoughts on meeting engagement. Have you played it? What did you think of it? Where do you think it goes right? Where do you think it goes wrong? Both parts are equally important. And yeah, I'd just like to know people's thoughts on it, how you think we can make this game a little better, because I really like it. I think 1,000 point games are fun. I think meeting engagements are fun for the most part. Like, we, in my friend group, we can self-comp each other to not do the that guy things. But yeah, anyway, leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think of meeting engagements. Have you actually played them? Have you given them a try? Why haven't you not? Why have you given it a try? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts and stuff. Don't forget to give the video a like. Don't forget to subscribe. We're so close to 750 subscribers and getting on to that 1,000. We're getting there. And we're going to have a nice big celebration when we do. But anyway, that's enough from me today. Catch you all later.